This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome me back to the Philippines. I just came back from a tour abroad of certain facilities. But I must first thank Ferdy Pasion last week for substituting for us and our guest last week, Mr. Butch Valdez. This week we will discuss the raging controversies of the day. And maybe I will request our PA to put in our image immediately at this point to show the main issue preoccupying the internet, social media, and this dramatic photo of a suspected drug user or pusher, we don't know, appeared on the internet, and it seems to be a peeve of President Duterte. And one of our guests today who will express why he feels so strongly about this. The second image, of course, is of President Duterte announcing that he will be investigating some of these mysterious killings which are attributed to the campaign of the government now against drugs, but may not necessarily all be connected to that or connected to what the government intends. And so in our first part of this subject, don't or do Duterte. One will represent the don't and the other will say, keep doing it, President Duterte. Itong mga issues na to, ang ating pag-usapan starting with this anti-drug war or a drugs war ni President Duterte. I would like to introduce again our regular guests here, the Po killer,
Po killer.
Lito David against the Po Layas, Senator Po, who may one day face the gallows. In the sense that baka matanggal po sa Senado yan pag i-pursue ni Mr. Lito David ang kanyang kaso lamang kay Grace po. I almost forget the first name already. She's now so insignificant. And you will recall our guest, Mr. Lito David, was a presidential candidate in the last election who had the honor of being the first to be disqualified by the COMELEC, because they were in a hurry to disqualify him. But he was the one also who filed one, if not the first case against Po to defrock her of her alleged citizenship or Filipino citizenship. And he has since then, after being removed from the campaign, from the elections by the COMELEC, he has become the rule of law advocate. And seated beside him is a very young friend of ours who has impressed us. He is a philosophy professor, graduate of the University of Santo Tomas, and he has represented the views of the Duterte campaign movement here twice at least in the past episodes. He is now with the CEPO. He'll explain what it means now. This is, of course, Mr. Vince Cifra. And he is a very energetic, very dynamic, intellectual whom I have had many discussions with, and certainly he is one of the most committed Duterte supporters, and I think he is one of the best articulators of the Duterte movement, not just President Duterte, but the spirit of the Duterte movement. So we hope to see a clash of views in this discussion. Lito David has been on Facebook campaigning against this, what he deems to be a violation of the rule of law, due process, that yung mga nakachinelas lang daw napapatay, and so on and so forth. And we expect Vince Cifra to put on his gloves and slug it out. So let's begin with the negative, as we do in a debate. Of course, President Duterte has said that these other killings are not really sanctioned. I think that's what he means. Ano? What is your response to that?
Kamentong hindi ko naman gustong sabihin yung term na kinukundina namin yung mga nangyayari na ito. No? Ang sinasabi ko lang is, may mga pamamaraan kung paano natin masasawata yung nangyayaring addiction, no? Yung trade ng drugs, no? Illegal drugs, na hindi kailangang pumatay ng tao araw-araw. No? Unang-una, hindi mo naman dapat talaga na basta-basta lang papatay ng tao. Naging na kasi, naging cliche na yung tipong nanlaban kasi, kaya pinatay, no? Kaya binaril na rin. Ano? Alam mo naman na it defies logic sometimes, no? Na alam mo na naipit ka na, bakit ka pala laban? Ang natural na reaction na isang tao, kapag ipit na siya, susuko yan. Ano? And yet, lahat nung more than half of those who have been killed, no, were branded as nanlaban, ano, yung mga ganon. Hindi ko sinasabi na dapat wag nating sawatain yung problema natin yan sa droga. Ang sinasabi ko, mayroong pamamaraan kung paano. Hindi lahat ng gumagamit ng droga, lalong-lalo na ng shabu, ay mga addict. Marami diyan. No? In fact, baka more than half of those who have been using shabu ay napipilitang gumamit ng shabu kasi kailangan nilang kumita. No? Nandyan yung mga call center agents na kailangan gising sila sa magdamag. Nandyan yung mga taxi drivers na kailangan kumita dahil hahabulin nila yung boundary nila na ibinayad ng mga 2,500. No? Tapos may uuwi niyan sa pamilya nila, 500, 700 lamang nagagastusin nila for 2 days. No? Nandiyan dyan yung mga cargo truck drivers na kailangan din gising, no?
Yeah.
Oo.
Well, I think
may hinahabol na no?
You made your point, but before I give the floor to Vince Cifra there, nasabi ko naman sa iyo na ang feedback ko sa populasyon, sa barangay level, maraming natutuwa. Kasi nga, for the first time, nakikita nila na yung mga addicts mismo ang nagsisilabasan at umaamin at nagtaturn themselves in. And so, ang pakiramdam doon sa barangay level, may nangyayari at natutuwa sila, tumataas ang pagkaasa nila na may pagbabagong nangyayari.
Doon na tayo,
I'll give you one brief to respond to that, and I'll go to Vince. Go ahead.
Sa panahon na ito, nararapat na tignan muli ni Ginoong Duterte at i-assess kung ano yung kung naging successful ba o nagiging successful yung kanyang ginagawang kampanya, no? I think he has to invite the minds also of the other sectors, no, na katulad ng mga nagsasabi na mali din naman yung ginagawa na yan. Ano? At this point, bago mawala sa control yung bagay na yan, and I'm sure if we let these things happen tuloy-tuloy, mawawala na yung control talaga niya na even si Ginoong Duterte hindi niya na kayang stop.
Let's listen to the Do-terte. After we heard the don't anymore. Oh, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to commend Digong. Why? Because when he was campaigning and he was asked about what he will do with drugs, he said then, it will be a bloody fight. Why? Because he knows that you are against the war machine of drug cartels. I heard from the DDB.
What's a DDB?
Dangerous Drugs Board.
Okay.
That there are 1.8 users of shabu.
Million.
1.8 million. But you have to assess that there are experimenters, occasional users, etc., etc. All in all, 1.8. But drugs personalities, it exceeds 1.8. It's
Personalities. Ano
personalities.
naman ibig sabihin nun?
This includes people who do not necessarily use drugs but sell them.
Okay.
You use for trade, drug syndicates. 3 million, all in all. And if you ask a common man, for instance, sa 3 milyon na ito, ilan sa tingin nyo ang lalaban? Ilan sa tingin nyo ang papalag? Ilan sa tingin nyo yung out of their greed for profit, they will fight it out with Duterte? Kasi they know they have lots of connections, they know they can pay the oligarchy, they will fight it out. Ilan out of this 3 million? Mga estudyante ko, sagot, kalahati sir, 1.5. Yung iba naman, 1 million, iba 800,000. Pero walang bumababa ng 500,000 na sinasabi na tingin namin ganyang kadaming lalaban. Ilan pa lang yung napapatay dahil ng laban? 400. Ilang porsyento ng 400, sabihin natin yung kalahati ng 3 milyon. Yeah, nandyan yung mga patayan, pero let me remind everybody that there should be if you are an advocate of a presumption of innocence for suspected drugs personalities, you should also be an advocate of presumption of regularity on the conduct of police operations. It's the same thing. It's innocence on both sides. You cannot be an advocate of presumption of innocence for suspected drugs personalities and not be an advocate of presumption of regularity on the conduct of police operations.
Kaya ako sinabi, mahusay na articulator ito.
So, that's my idea. That's my idea.
Pakinggan natin ang
pero
response.
Yung enormity ng puwersa ng Estado, hindi naman dapat kailangan gagamitin mo parate, no? Yung mga nanlalaban na yan, tapos nilalagyan nila ng 38 caliber na baril, alam mo naman na hindi totoo yun eh. No? So, ang sinasabi natin dito, isang bagay lamang naman ang dapat gawin ni Ginoong Duterte ngayon. Sabihin niya lang, tigil na muna yung patayan na yan.
Anong response doon?
Ang response ko dun is, kulang pa. Push on. We're nearing victory.
Okay.
We are undergoing a phenomenal change right now.
And I disagree with that.
Tapos,
Sige, pabalik tayo kay Lito.
yeah, ayos na ba?
Sige, tapusin mo yan para si Lito naman.
Sa akin, sabi na nga nung ibang news, mainstream media, never pa nangyayari sa kasaysayan natin na mayroong 400,000 plus na sumusuko, willing to change themselves. 6,000 plus, arestado ng
Addicts
maayos.
lang yan, not pushers.
Kasama rin ng pushers.
May pushers din
Kasama
siya.
rin ng pushers.
Hindi ba natatakot yung mga pushers na umami na pushers sila?
Hindi kasi they are clinging to the promise of Digong na once you surrender, you will be protected.
Okay.
In fact, there are assessment regulations na inilatag yung DILG in coordination with DOH, PIDEA, and DDB na kapag nag-surrender ka, aalamin kung sino yung occasional users lang, experimenters lang, tapos mayroong proper treatment for them. Kaya doon papasok yung sasabi ni Sir Rizalito David kanina, yung mga gumagamit ng shabu, for instance, dahil lang para makahabol sa workload nila.
Okay,
So everything is planned.
We have come to a very good point na contrasting talaga ang attitude to what is happening. No? Of course, the judgment will be done by our audience, no? Kung anong mas matimbang na argumento para sa kanila. And I think it's very sharp and it's important that it's sharp. Na sabi nung isa, kulang pa! Sabi ni Kabansan Lito, magpreno na. But I think we have come to an impasse there. The positions are very clear. The arguments are very clear. One side says, presumption of regularity. And ang problema sa police, sa buong mundo, nakikita natin ngayon, nangyayari yan sa Estados Unidos. May mga sariling method sila.
But they're doing it covertly.
Oh.
Ang difference nung ginagawa ng US, they're doing it covertly. Dito sa Pilipinas, the president mobilizing the people because we should be mobilized. We should work for our country. This is our fight.
Okay. Anyway, Lito, and then I'll go to another aspect of this same issue. Response dun sa final point.
He has to put a stop to it. No? One death is one death.
Hindi kaya tulad ng sinasabi ni Vince, kung magpreno na ngayon, baka
Hindi, walang ibang
bumuelta naman yun,
kamentong, wala kang pwedeng ibigay na isang civilized na reason sa nangyayari ngayon. Kailangan unang-una pangalagaan ng karapatang pantao. Yan ang pinaka-importante. The right to life is the most important of all the rights. No?
But these are operational situations, and the only way to respond to your issue is may mag-file na mga kaso or ang gobyerno mag-investigate, which at the start of the show I said...
Right now, sino yung magpa-file ng kaso? Pera na lang kung yung taong napatay ay may kaya. Walang maglalakas ng loob.
Ay mga NGOs, mga na marami tayong narinig.
Ngayon, meron na, nag-uumpisa na rin kami na aralin lahat yan para i-file na nga yung mga kaso na ganyan. Meron na rin mga pumapalag. Ang sinasabi ko po dito, kung hindi titigilan yan, baka ang mangyari sa atin, we become worse than the people we wish to destroy, which is happening right now.
Okay,
That's why I'm saying na President Duterte, you put a stop to it because it will come to a point that you become worse than the people you wish to destroy.
Final response, and I'll give my commentary. Vince.
That's the reason why the people have to work together with the government. Let's help the government guard our guardians. Kumbaga. Kasi, we have to remember that during the time of PGMA, she raised this drugs problem into a problem of national security. Whatever problem you raise into a problem of national security, malala yan, matindi yan. Yung problem natin with drugs is so extensive that you really have to shake our society to clean it up. Now, para maiwasan yung we speculate na mga abuses ng mga police, we have to work together with the government kasi ayaw din naman ng gobyerno ni Duterte yan eh. Ayaw din naman ng administrasyon na merong abusong police. So if we find something in a particular police operation that is fishy, let us work with the government to find out the truth.
Nabanggit ang mga police officials and officers, no? Pero officials muna. Officials mas mataas eh. Yung pagbubulgar ng pangalan ng 5 and then now politicians at different levels, no? Sabi ng iba, that's a violation of rights. Kawawa naman ang mga pamilya nila, masisira ang pangalan nila. Sa akin naman, public officials are not the same as ordinary citizens. They have a special role. And apparently, what is being divulged today by the government in the exposés of these names is a sign that there was failure in the past decades, or at least in the last administration, in cleansing the ranks. No? Now, yung may question din on ultimately the effectivity of elimination of numbers and numbers of people related to drugs. The Thaksin Shinawatra, I remember writing it in early 2000s or late 1990s, the death toll in his campaign against drugs, Thailand's Thaksin Shinawatra as Prime Minister, was 2,000. Now, I don't know what the status now of the drug scourge in Thailand is, but apparently some people are saying that it did not solve the problem. Which leads me to the final point, which I think we all agree. Poverty is one of the issues here. And I think Mauro Guia-Samonte of Manila Times wrote a very good piece on that, attributing it to capitalism or the extreme forms of capitalism na sobrang napapagsamantalahan ng ekonomiya at ng ang taong bayan, na nababasa naman natin, halimbawa sa ilang mga lugar na yung mga drug pushers ay sinasabi, wala kaming ibang ikabubuhay kung wala itong drug business. Now that is what has happened in a society that has no industries anymore, no irrigation for agriculture, and so on. So, yan ang mas malaking problema din. What are your reactions? Fry Lito first, and then to Vince.
Yun po yung isa kong madalas ipunto. No? May mga high-impact activities, high-impact efforts naman na pwede sanang ginawa si Ginoong Duterte.
But it's only been 1 month. How can you have high impact? Di ba?
Yun lang pong kunin niya yung mga namamalimos sa lansangan at ilagay doon sa mga centers. That is a high-impact project. Magandang mga na yan, mga sinyales na talagang seryoso siya na pagandahin ang buhay ng mga Pilipino. Ang inumpisahan po kagad yung tungkol sa droga. Okay lang din naman yung tungkol sa droga, pero wag naman yung araw-araw 10 ng 10 yung pinapatay nyo. no? Hindi naman karapat-dapat yan. Ang parati ko pong sinasabi,
Napapatay siguro, hindi naman pinapatay niya. Napapatay.
napapatay kung yun yung gusto niyong termino, pero sa akin pinapatay talaga.
Sige,
no?
okay. We'll have Vince respond to that.
Even yung sinasabi nila na pinatay ng mga vigilantes daw, no? Ang pumatay ng vigilantes, ang suspecha ko doon, mga off-duty policemen yan
Okay.
in clandestine activity, in clandestine mission. Sila rin yung pumapatay na yan dahil nagiging mainit na yung mata ng taong bayan. Oy, sumusobra na kayo. Mga pulis, sobra na yung ginagawa nyo. Vigilante na lang. Pero sino yung vigilante? Sila rin yun.
Okay, let's go to Vince. Vince, go ahead.
There are lots of possibilities that surround everything that's happening now, especially yung alleged extrajudicial killings. Bakit? Kasi why are we dismissing the possibility na hindi lang yan police operations or clandestine police operations? Kasi may mga sumasabay din dyan na drug cartels. This is also another possibility, cleaning the ranks up, running away from Digong. Let me note that the enemy is on the run. Because we're going to stop now. Wag. Halimbawa, yung sinabi ni Digong, yung Sinaloa drug cartel is already here. If you look at the history of Sinaloa drug cartel sa Mexico, ang style ng pagpatay nila at pag-clean up nila ng ranks just to cover their tracks, binabalot sa packaging tape, tapos nilalagay sa isang tabi, nilalagyan ng sign. Yan yung mga nangyayari sa sa iba nating mga alleged extrajudicial killings done by clandestine police operations. Pero may possibility na drug cartel ang gumagawa nun. Sinasabayan si Digong for two things. Masiraan siya at maprotektahan yung sarili nila.
The possibility, so.
I'm just presenting the possibility.
Now, we have 3 minutes left. I've been guiding the discussions, but maybe there are important points you want to bring up. You have a share of 1.5 minutes each. So, ikaw muna, Lito. May mga hindi ko ba natanong na gusto mong
Hindi naman po. Gusto ko lang i-emphasize dito na yung nangyayari ngayon, hindi lamang naman naapektuhan yung mga katulad nating medyo may isip na, no? Yung ating mga bata na nakikinig, nanonood ng telebisyon, no? Na nakakita yan araw-araw na nagpapatayan na. Ang mangyayari po dyan, mas malaki yung magiging impact sa psychology ng mga bata na yan, na okay lang palang pumatay. No? Tapos, yung ang sinasabi kong pilit, ayokong magang unsuccessful itong administrasyon ni Ginoong Duterte. Subalit, doon sa nangyayari ngayon, maaring dumating yung panahon na mas masama pa siya kaysa doon sa mga masasamang taong gusto niyang tanggalin sa lipunan. No? Yun po ang sinasabi ko. Kaya, isang order lang naman yan ni Ginoong Duterte. Sabihin niya, let's put a stop to this. Probably 80-90% of the killings will just go away.
Yeah.
No?
But we were addressing a higher and broader issue of the economy as part of the problem that spurs this drug crisis. No? So, isn't Duterte trying to improve the agricultural sector, for example, by calling for free irrigation and so on? Although in the other aspects of the economy, power costs hindi pa bababa, but it's still very early, Are there initiatives you think
insofar as lowering the cost of goods, prices of goods, and even the cost of electricity, wala pa namang malinaw na initiative na ginagawa dyan. But at least, that should have been said already dun sa SONA. There was no mention of it.
Okay. Less than 1 minute.
Yeah.
Sige, Vince.
Well, yung akin lang regarding dun sa sinabi ni Sir Rizalito kanina regarding sa kids, mga bata, kabataan natin. We're in the same page, sir. We're in the same side. We are doing this because of them. To protect them, to ensure that they will develop to their fullest capacities after the obliteration of drugs. Kasi hindi...
Ano natututuhan nila dito sa prosesong narinig nila sa radyo and TV?
Ang natututunan nila is stay away from drugs. Drugs is not good for you. And you better fight it.
Okay.
You better stay guard against it. Yan ang natututunan nila. And this is all for them. This is for them. This is for our kabataan. Gusto ko sana mag-comment.
Yeah, well, we've run out for this segment. Ihabol mo na lang mamaya when we start again on our second part. Okay, so let's take this break. Anong
Yung kay